tornadoes, especially in that northern area, right? There was talk of potentially strong long-track ones.
Exactly. The Storm Prediction Center, the SPC, they were highlighting that risk pretty clearly. They issued a moderate risk of the upper Midwest.
Moderate, that's level 4 out of 5, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Pretty significant. And both areas, north and south, were also under an enhanced risk, level 3. So high alert levels across the board, really.
Okay, so what was happening atmospherically? What ingredients came together?
Well, you had a potent setup, a strong upper-level system, for starters, with a powerful jet streak like a fast lane in the upper atmosphere providing energy.
Right.
Then down lower, you had a surface low-pressure system developing, a cold front sweeping in, and crucially, a dry line.
Ah, the dry line.
Yes.
Pulling in that warm, moist air from the Gulf.
Precisely. That warm, unstable air getting lifted by the fronts in the dry line.
Yeah.
That's your trigger for severe storms. Classic setup, really. Just quite strong this time.
And what struck me was the lead time on this. Forecasters seemed pretty confident, even days out. A day 3 moderate risk, that feels a bit unusual.
It does, yeah. It signals pretty high confidence early on. The models were showing good agreement, pointing towards what they called a potential outbreak of severe weather.
Outbreak.
And they specifically mentioned strong to intense tornadoes in that early outlook for the upper Midwest. That level of detail, days ahead, it's impressive.
They even put numbers on it, probabilities. I saw a 15% hatched probability for significant tornadoes, EF2 plus E, in that moderate risk area. What does hatched mean there?
So the hatched area on the map basically highlights where there's a greater risk within that 15% probability zone for those more significant tornadoes, EF2, or stronger, potentially longer-lived ones.
Got it. So 15% doesn't sound huge, but in tornado terms, especially hatched.
Oh, it's significant. Very significant.
Yeah.
You absolutely pay attention to a 15% hatched risk. And it wasn't just tornadoes. High chances for large hail, too, like an inch or bigger.
Right, in both areas.
In both areas, yeah. And damaging winds, 58 miles per hour or more. But down south, in the plains, they specifically highlighted the risk for very large hail.
How large is very large?
We're talking potentially exceeding 2.5, maybe even 3 inches in diameter, so bigger than baseballs.
Wow. And the storm types were expected to be a bit different in the two regions?
That's right. Up north, the thinking was a mix, maybe some discrete supercells at first, those rotating storms, but likely evolving into lines or clusters later. Down south, the expectation was more for discrete supercells initially, which are often the big hail producers. The tornado threat may be ramping up a bit later there.
So that was the forecast. What actually unfolded on the 28th? Did it play out?
It really did, quite closely, actually. Severe weather definitely hit both corridors hard. We saw lots of reports of large hail.
Like how large? Did we see those baseballs?
And then some. Tennis ball size reported in Minnesota. Baseball size in Kansas, yes. And get this, reports of teacup-sized hail in Oklahoma.
Teacup size? That's hard to even imagine the impact.
Incredible, isn't it? Just massive chunks of ice falling. And the winds showed up, too.
Yeah. Any measured gusts?
Yep, a 74-mile-per-hour gust recorded in Iowa. That's hurricane force, essentially.
Wow.
And there was structural damage reported in Minnesota, barns, silos, even a warehouse damaged. Indicates some really powerful winds associated with those storms.
Okay, and the key thing, especially for the north, the tornadoes, did they materialize in that moderate risk zone?
They did. Unfortunately, yes. Tornadoes were confirmed in southern Minnesota. We saw the warnings go out, reports from spotters, and damage reported near Kenyon, Minnesota.
And Kenyon was right in that moderate risk area.
Smack dab in the middle of it. So the forecast really highlighted that specific area for the highest tornado potential, and that's where it occurred.
So it sounds like the forecast was, well, pretty accurate overall in pinpointing the threats and the locations.
Remarkably so, especially given the complexity. Identifying those corridors and the specific hazards, like the significant tornadoes in southern Minnesota, days in advance.
Yeah.
It worked well.
And this system just kept moving.
It did. It shifted east, bringing a continued severe threat into April 29th as well. A large dynamic system.
So when you look back at this event, April 28th, 2025, obviously the power of these storms is immense. What's the sort of deeper reflection here?
For me, it really highlights how far forecasting has come. The ability to anticipate an event like this with that level of detail and confidence several days out, it's pretty amazing. It relies on, great science, good models, skilled forecasters putting it all together.
It saves lives, ultimately.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, what's next? How can we get even better at predicting these complex, powerful weather systems? What further innovations are on the horizon for forecasting and, just as importantly, for helping us all prepare?